Well, the Black Girl hockey season officially gets underway tomorrow. The puck drops against Quinnipiac University at 7 p.m. Myself, Bryan, Roche, and Cody Beckett here will be bringing you the game along with Kinney on WMEB Sports. But let's preview this matchup a little bit. Let's start with the Quinnipiac team. You know, a school out of the ECAC, we normally look at these schools, these matchups on the schedule and think, you know, this might be an easier game, especially for a hockey school, but that's definitely not the case this time.
Oh, not at all. This Quinnipiac team just behind Maine in the USA Today poll, just outside that top 15, so it's going to be a very interesting matchup. A lot of young forwards for this Bobcats team. They know how to play in tough environments in the ECAC, places like Leonard, or Cornell, so they're not going to be intimidated by the Alfond, so it's going to be a very good game.
Let's go back to this Maine team, because again, the thing we've beaten down ad nauseum is the roster turnover, and it looks like one of those new guys, Devin Shore, is going to be thrown right into the fire, up on the top line with Kyle Beatty and Joey Diamond. A little bit of a different structure than what we saw last year, but how do you think these guys are going to perform?
Yeah, it's a different situation. Usually we don't see the freshman up on that first line in Tim Whitehead's offense, but because of out of necessity and the fact that Devin Shore is extremely talented, he's going to be up there with Beatty and Diamond, like you said. I think they're going to be a very productive line. After that, you get guys like Szymanski, Stu Higgins, Mark Anthor. They're all going to have to contribute a lot to replace the offense that you mentioned that the Black Bears lost.
And again, you know, same thing on defense. A lot of new guys coming in here. And, you know, when you first look at these defensive pairs that we're projecting, some interesting matchups, especially up top. What I find most interesting, Mike Cornell and Nick Bryan.
Yeah, very interesting. Nick Pryor up on that first line. We didn't expect that just because in the past he's had some defensive liabilities, but I think he shored those up in the offseason. He's gained Tim Whitehead's trust to be in that top defensive pair, to start the game, playing defense. So I think he's going to have a good season up, and especially a good game here on Saturday.
If you look at the projected chart, you really only have one traditional, I guess is the word I want to use, stay-at-home defensive pairing, and that's Mark Nemec, and Jake Rudd, and those are two pretty imposing forces.
Yeah, two big guys. They're going to bang some bodies, get dirty in the corners, and work their way from there. Good things from them as well, like you said, playing primarily in a defensive role, but that's what you need from your depth defense defensemen, the second line.
Goaltending, of course, it's going to be Dan Sullivan. Not a surprise whatsoever. In a couple of practices we've seen, he's looked pretty strong.
Yeah, very good indeed, because there's that competition there for Marty Roulette. We've heard Coach Whitehead say multiple times, Marty came in tremendous shape, and it's essentially an open competition for that number one goal position. We're most likely going to see Sully here on Saturday night, but Marty Roulette's knocking at the door.
It's going to be a great matchup either way. Two very similar teams between the Quinnipiac Bobcats and your University of Maine Black Bears. Coverage on WMEB Sports starts at 6:45. Quentin Vanna will have the pregame show. And then at 7, like I said, myself, Cody, and Whitney Kinney will have all the action. Still some questions with our New Brunswick game coverage. Check the website. We'll have an update on how you'll be able to hear that, but we will be broadcasting in some way. But until Saturday, talk to you guys later.